Hi, this is Chantal. I'm back for your encouragement. Last week, my daughter came home for lunch. Now, the Swiss school system works in the way that most schools they have morning school, and at lunchtime they send all the children home for lunch. The children go home, they have lunch at home, and then they return to school in the afternoon. Now, where we live, our children they take the bus to school. And there's quite a narrow window for them to come home, eat, and go back to school. So it's quite time sensitive. So my daughter came home and she wanted a milkshake for lunch. And guess what? She spilled the milkshake all over the table, all over herself, all over the floor. And it's time sensitive. So how there's a lot of ways that we can react to that situation. But praise God, He's helping me grow spiritually. I wasn't pleased, but I helped her to clean it up and change her clothes and anyway, continue with lunch. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has these things happen in the family, but I want to speak today about how we speak. How do we speak when these things happen? There might be frustration, yes, but how do we express that frustration? And I just want to read a Bible verse to you. It's from the Passion Translation. It says, love, the motivation of our lives. It's 1 Corinthians 13, verse 1. If I were to speak with eloquence in earth's many languages and, in the heavenly tongues of angels, yet I didn't express myself with love, my words would be reduced to the hollow sound of nothing more than a clanging cymbal. Well, there's more to the love verse, but I'm focused today on expressing ourselves in love, despite frustrations, despite challenges, because if we don't express ourselves in love, our words fall flat. And I just want to give a shout out to a kindergarten teacher who taught all three of my children. And she had such a wonderful way of speaking. I remember once I visited kindergarten when it was my son's birthday in kindergarten. And in Switzerland, they have a lovely ritual celebrating the children when it's their birthday. And we were sitting in a circle, and she was asking my son all these questions, waiting for him to answer. And after he answered, he would get a little treat. But as she was asking the questions, there was another boy in the class constantly chiming in when it was my son's turn to say something. And he did it quite a few times. And in that situation, a teacher can get quite exasperated. But the way she acted or reacted to the boy chiming in was so lovely. Because instead of saying, please stop chiming in, or whatever else you could say to the boy in that situation, she turned to the boy and she said to him, I can see that you really wish it was your birthday today, but it's this person's birthday, so when it's your birthday, you can answer these questions. Wow, I thought it was such a sweet way to respond to the boy. Not in exasperation, but expressing herself in love. Another situation I remember is when she was teaching my second son. He wasn't particularly fond of walking. And because I mentioned, because the children have to come home for lunch and go back, whether it's kindergarten or school, it's quite time sensitive within the space that they are at home to get home and go back to kindergarten or school in time. So this day, they had sports before going on the bus, coming back to where we live, and then having to return to kindergarten. And for some reason, my son, it took quite long. And because we had, There's only one bus over lunchtime. They had to be quick not to miss the bus. And my son moved quite slowly. And she then said to my son, oh, whoever, I'm not going to mention his name, he won't be pleased. I can see that you really wish the bus would drive to the sports hall today and pick you up. And she shared that with me, and I just burst out laughing. What a way to express yourself in love. And I'm asking myself the question, asking you the question, how often do we have to be reminded to express ourselves in love, despite frustrations, despite exasperations? There's a way that we can express ourselves that's the most excellent way that God calls us to. Because words have power, and when it is expressed in love, it has even more power. So I want to encourage you today, think about how you express yourself to your children, in your family. How do you talk about yourself? I pray that we learn to express ourselves in love. So bye for now.